Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I'm Landon, the host of Mixed Rhythm, as always, and I'm happy to be back here with a special interview today. They're all special to me, and this one's no exception. In November, I sat down with the band Puffin. They're based out of Halifax, Nova Scotia, the home of Mixed Rhythm right now, and it was really cool to get to sit down and chat with them. They're a newer band. They just put out their first EP, which we talked about back in November. I heard it early. A little sneaky for you, and I loved it. It was really great. It's different than what I usually play on Mixed Rhythm. It's a little more hardcore, a little more rocky, a little more loud and crazy and punky, I guess. It's like emo. It's more emo than I'm used to, but I loved it, and I love them, and I love their music, and they're all really cool guys. And so their new EP is out now. You can check it out on Spotify, on wherever. It's called, dramatic pause, Puffin by Puffin. And I'm going to play a track from that EP right now. I'm going to play a track we talk about in this episode, so you can hear the song and then hear us chat about it. This song's called Barn Burner, and I hope you enjoy my chat as much as I enjoyed having it. So without further ado, Barn Burner, and then my conversation with Puffin. Who am I sitting with today?
Schnell D'Souza.
And Isaac Bezanson.
You guys are from the band Puffin, who I've seen a number of times in Halifax. And you're an interesting band to me because you're a very new band, but you're all, like, in the grand scope of things. You've been playing for over a year now, right?
Yep.
And even then, like, you're all super experienced as musicians. You all have known each other, like, forever, right? Mm-hmm. But on the same token, like, you're a new band, but playing shows like you've been a band forever. Do you feel like that? Like, do you feel like, I mean, the band is quite young, but the only real thing that's changed, I guess, is the fact that you guys are, like, playing shows. But you've always been around in the scene, playing music. Like, it's kind of a change in name only. Does that make sense?
Yeah, to a degree, yeah. I feel like we, like, Richard, a vocalist, Josh, our bassist, and me, like, we've all been in the, like, Halifax music scene since we were in, like, high school, which was, like, 2016-ish. And then Schnell's from Ontario, but Schnell has been in his own local high school scene at that point as well. So it's, like, I feel like we all have, like, definitely, like, cut our teeth on the scene. Like, it's not like we just learned how to play instruments semi-recently and then we got into it. It's, like, we all sort of had it as a thing, and then it, like, dispersed or, like, dissipated for a while, and then it, like, regrew, and now we're, like, all kind of putting it all back together. Would you, like, agree with that, would you say?
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear, like, the other three guys in the band story, because, like, they have all this lore of the Halifax music scene and, like, the different venues they went to. But I didn't grow up here. Like, I grew up in Mississauga, and I moved to Halifax like 3.5 years ago. I think there's kind of a funny story here of how Isaac and I met.
So cringy.
It is a bit cringy.
Good story though.
I was trying to find a job, and I hit up Isaac on LinkedIn of all places. Yeah, it's so cringy. But
Hi, Isaac. Hope you're doing well today.
Exactly.
How it started.
Like pretty much I was like, can we have a coffee chat? And then we like met. I think on that call we realized that we were just both into music and had some like similar interests and stuff. I didn't get the job, but I was like, this guy's pretty cool. And I was like, let's grab a beer. And then we ended up kind of just chatting about music for 2 hours instead of like work and career stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember like on that like first like intro call or whatever, Chanel was like moving his camera, and like when you see it, it's just like a ton of guitars and an electronic drum kit in the corner. And I was like, what's that? Let's talk about that. And then I think we were also just like, when we were first starting, he was like, oh, how was your weekend? What are you up to? And it's like, oh, I saw Andy Schaff at Lighthouse Arts, because this would have been when he played in like
January 2023.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was 3 or 24, but yeah, 2023. And then that's what I said, and then Chanel was like, I also did the same thing this weekend. Like, that's funny. And then we
so
started.
did I, just for the record.
I was gonna say, I feel like you were there too. Yeah. Great show, by the way.
What a show.
Man.
Yeah, and then we were just talking about like music in general. I was like, yeah, like a really big fan of Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like, learned how to play music because of them. And Chanel was like, well, it's funny you say that because me too. And like, yeah, it felt like we were like connected in a past life somehow. It's kind of funny.
For real, yeah. And then yeah, we started jamming together, and Isaac was like, hey, like I know Richard's like this awesome musician in the local scene. Josh is like long-term friend, I mean like childhood buddy, and also a fantastic musician, and it all kind of like naturally came together. But it is really cool to hear about the Halifax music scene like from their perspective, while also kind of like experiencing it myself, like
Right.
like kind of as like a newer member of the scene and like the city in general.
Yeah, 100%. And so, like, I feel like that the LinkedIn part of this is like super crucial to, I think, like, I've met one musician from LinkedIn, and it was like, I did a job interview, and the guy was like, I love Winter Sleep, and I was like, what? And then we started talking, and then he ghosted me, and then it turns out he's like been he's owed people money for like 3 years in a working capacity and hasn't paid them, and he got sued. So I was like, I'm kind of glad I missed out on that.
That's like the flip side of what happened to that's how it could have gone.
Yeah, that's definitely how it could have gone.
Yeah.
But so what brought you out to Nova Scotia in the first place?
I was just looking for like a change in pace. My partner's dad had moved to Charlottetown, kind of like early in the pandemic, and then like when things were first starting to open up, he had us out for a trip, and I think he was very strategic about it. He brought us out in September, which is like the nicest. Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, and he took us to like Chef Michael Smith's restaurant, like maybe 2 hours after the plane landed. It was like a pamphlet. Like it was a really cool trip, and everyone there was so lovely. I think when we came back, we just like couldn't stop thinking about the East Coast. My partner and I were talking about it. I think we wanted like kind of like just a bigger city, just based on what we were used to, and so Halifax was kind of the right candidate, and we moved out here and just like absolutely fell in love with it.
Nice. And well, Isaac, you are from here, right? Originally, Halifax.
Yeah, born and raised Prospect Bay. Shout out, halfway between Halifax and Peggy's Cove. So like, yeah.
Well, you kind of did the opposite at one point. You went to St. FX. You went to a small town, which is how, like, I met you through Jack Murtha from Post Fun.
Shout out the GOAT.
I know. I miss him.
Yeah.
Where's he at right now?
He's in Hamilton, for better or for worse. Yeah. Happens.
He did the literal opposite of you, except not Mississauga, but he totally, he flipped the script. But that's how, I think, you know what? I think I saw you at the Andy Schaff show.
Yeah.
I was coming out of the bathroom, and you and Jack were in line to go in. And Jack was like, "This
Yeah.
is my friend Isaac. I told you about. He went to St. FX, and you showed me your ring." I
That
forgot
sounds
about that
familiar.
until right now.
Yeah, that was a blurry night to say the least. With the Lighthouse Arts used to have some strategically priced beverages, I'll say. So.
Yeah, they
but I do
did.
remember meeting you. Yeah.
Yes. And what was that experience like living in Antigonish? Because Antigonish, I feel like it's a weird musical culture that's hard to understand
Yeah.
unless you've been there. Like, it's such a small town. Like, half the population of the town is students.
Yep.
But there's a lot of jazz music and a lot, because they have the jazz program at St. FX.
Yes.
And there's a lot of musicians around, but for a long time there was just no bands.
Yeah.
And right now there's like no original bands in Antigonish. There's some cover bands, but even that has really thinned out.
There's no original bands?
No, not that. Like, I'm trying to think, but
I guess Traveling Nobodies aren't active anymore.
no. Heidi moved to Newfoundland, and so
Oh, okay.
they'll do reunion shows and stuff.
Yeah.
But even then, they were kind of half and half. Like, they had a lot of great originals, but even
Yeah,
then, they
yeah.
did a lot of covers too.
True.
There was a period, like, in my 4th year, I got really lucky, where there were, like, a bunch of original artists, like, living in town and playing in town. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Mary Beth Carty, who's been there forever. Tom Curry, same deal. But, like, there was Nathan Langley, who you know. And then he was in my band, Gardner. And there was the Traveling Nobodies. And there were a few great cover bands around town. Moira and Claire were living there at the time. Piner, like... Sydney Archer, yeah,
Whoa.
it was a crazy
the
like
heck?
time in Antigonish for like 1 year.
Yeah.
But since then, it's kind of petered out. And so, like, I feel like from a musical perspective, I mean, you're surrounded by it in a lot of ways, but at the same time, there's really not a lot of like music around. Did you feel that when you were there?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's got this weird way about it where, like, if anything semi big comes, it's like everybody knows about it. I remember the coolest thing was I took 4 music classes at X because I had to like take a certain number of classes in like a subject to get my pair or whatever.
What ones were they?
It was like first of all, it was the Beatles.
I did the Beatles.
Dude, hard class.
Yeah.
Low-key hard class.
He
Like,
docked me 30% on my final paper before he read it.
I'm pretty sure same. He like looked at my references and I didn't like format them correctly, and he was just like 70 ASAP.
He's the worst, man. Anyway, but that was a cool
great,
class.
great guy though. Honestly, great guy. But it was the Beatles, and then it was like songwriters and their songs or
I took
something.
that one.
Yeah, and then I want to say like just intro to jazz studies or something like
No
that.
way.
Some like history. Like it was like not musically inclined.
Right.
It was like more about history. I don't even remember what the last one was, but
Probably history of popular music. Did you do that
yes,
one?
that was the last one.
Yeah.
History of popular music. Yeah, and I remember I think it was in that class or one of the other like songwriter ones. They actually like as part of your assignments, you had to go catch live music
No way.
and write about it. You had to write about like how you felt when you saw the performance, like what the stage setup was like. Like it made you like actually analyze a show, which I'd never done for the first time. And I remember like the big thing that year was Jay Jennings, who's the trumpet player in Snarky Puppy, came to play with his like quartet.
Oh, was that for like the Antigonish Jazz Festival?
I think so, yeah. And they played in like the Schwartz Auditorium.
Yeah.
And I went with my buddy who was on the football team who was like super into jazz as well. And we were just like, how is this happening in Antigonish? This is like so cool.
Right.
But it's like that one step away where like if Snarky Puppy came to Antigonish, everybody would freak out. But it's like a member of Snarky Puppy somehow has a connection to somebody who works at like the jazz department probably.
Yeah.
And then that's like the biggest show. Everybody knows about it.
Yeah, it's weird. Like Antigonish, like you get these pearls.
Yes,
but,
exactly.
I mean, for the most part, like the ocean's empty, you know?
Yeah.
It's such a weird kind of town. And so moving back to Halifax, like it wasn't, I mean, probably a couple of years after that where you started playing in bands up here. Is that right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
What was the first band you joined after moving back up?
That's a good question. Honestly, it might have been Puffin, actually, the more I think about it. Yeah.
Well, like you, Richard, and Thomas Hart
yeah,
of
fuck,
Pavel
actually.
Stroke fame.
Yeah. That's right.
No
yeah.
way.
There was a band that never came to be, actually, very interestingly enough. So, yeah, there was a band, the first band, I guess, technically, and like I call it a band in loose terms because we didn't play a show. That's why it's like a quote unquote band. But it was Thomas Hart, Post Fun, Pavel Stroke, Lore, etc. He has always been like super good buddies with Richard. So they like lived together at one point, and they were living separately in like 2023, 2024. But they would like always go over and like jam together. Thomas was living on one of those like super like Britain name streets near the mall. Like there's like Edinburgh and London and like
he had the super tiny basement.
Yes.
Did you have to crouch when you went in there?
I did.
Yeah, I bet
yes,
you did.
I did. Yes, I did. So yeah, he was in there, and then Thomas and Richard just wrote the most insane math rock shit. Like
I can only imagine.
most insane stuff, like nonsensically, but like you could tell they weren't just like forcing in odd time signatures. It was like the riff was written this way, and
Right.
it just happened to be in this time signature. So yeah, they had a collection of like 7 or like 9 songs or something, and then they're like, oh, like it'd be cool if we had more than just like drums and guitar on this. And then yeah, I don't know, I think I saw Tom or I saw Richard or something, and they're like, you should come out and just like jam and see what happens. And then yeah, we were playing a ton, well, like practicing a ton, I should say. And then we actually got Chanel in the mix.
Yeah.
Chanel joins this like storyline at one point, which is pretty cool.
So Isaac and I were jamming a little bit, and like mainly just like covering songs that we both had, like, you know, and like similar interests and stuff. And Isaac's like, oh, like you should come out to one of these practices, and we go out there, and like for a while they're like having pizza and like
Pizza was a staple.
Yeah,
we would
like,
get a different pizza or the same like type of pizza from a different restaurant every time, like in Halifax.
That's amazing.
It was great. Yeah.
and in my head, like candidly, I was like, oh, is this one of those practices where we're just like kind of hanging out for a while? That's fine. And then we go downstairs, and these guys proceed to pull out these ridiculous songs. They're so well crafted, and I'm just like, I'm so out of my depth right now. I'm like trying to keep up with this, but like it was sweet. And then I think you guys tried to get a show going.
Yeah. So then we had been practicing for like, I don't know, half a year or something. And then Mojo in the Middle, shout out Mojo in the Middle, they were going to play a show at Oasis with Bologna, Colorado,
Wow.
which is like, what a show that would have been. Anyways, they needed an opener. And I think Richard is tight with Ronan in Mojo.
Ronan's
Yeah.
cool as hell.
Yeah, Ronan's shout out Ronan. Ronan's the man. But yeah, I think Ronan just like reached out and was like, do you guys know anybody or do you have any projects going on that would like be down to play this? And we were like, matter of fact, we do actually. So yeah, I mean, if you can look far enough on some like really dusty, moldy lamppost or like a streetlight post, you'll find a very tattered poster probably somewhere, or maybe you can't find them anymore. But it was like a proper poster in a show that was put together to happen at Oasis, and then last second it got canceled because of like a fight night that they didn't realize they had like double booked.
Yeah.
And so the band that never came to play that show.
What was the band name?
The band name that like we had been working through, like the working title was Modern Pressures.
That's cool.
It's like kind of hard, but like also not that cool at the same time. I don't know. It's not bad. It's not bad.
No, it's cool.
Yeah.
I think Puffin is a cooler name. And so I want to know,
Puffin's pretty
like,
cool.
So I knew you as a bass player.
Yeah.
The reason I knew that is because, I think Jack mentioned it, but my friend Nathan said that he jammed with you one time. He doesn't remember a whole lot from it, from what I gather, which means it was probably really fun.
Yeah, it was a good time.
And so that's how I know you first and foremost as a bass player.
Yeah.
But you play drums in Puffin. Why is that?
Well, it's a good question, actually. I feel like we, when we first started jamming, I had just set up my drum kit back at my parents' house again because they had been like, I always had a drum kit. I learned how to play drums like 2 years after playing bass. So I've been playing both of them for like over 10 years sort of thing. But bass was always like my stronger instrument, felt more comfortable instrument, whatever. But yeah, my parents had been like renovating their basement. And so they were like, you need to buy like drum cases, which are fucking expensive, low key. And they're like,
bet.
yeah, they're like, put them all in the cases and then we'll put it away so they don't like get damaged in the renovation. Renovation finally finished in like December of 2023 or whatever. And they're like, oh, you can set your drums back up. So I was like, I'm going to take over my like childhood bedroom, put the mattress against the wall so it's like kind of dampening, and like just set up my drum kit. So we were like, I was playing a lot on that. And then when Schnell and I met, and then we decided to go out and jam, we were like riffing on a bunch of like cover songs. And then the first technically original Puffin song that came to be, I was on drums, Schnell was on guitar. And then when we got everybody in the mix, like with Josh and Richard, Josh is also like a killer guitar player, which is more known about Josh. I feel like people don't know that he's a bassist, but also a killer bassist. But Yeah, I think it was honestly kind of just process of elimination. Like it was like everybody's pretty sick at a bunch of instruments. So it's like this is the best combination where you get like the sickest. Like everybody's like maybe like I'm not the best drummer or something, but like every single person, like when we combine it, like this is the best formation of Puffin with all the instruments.
Right.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And so were you always a guitar player first?
Yeah. So I've been playing guitar for like 15 years now. So I used to play in like a high school band, but very classic high school band. Like everyone left to go to university or college or whatever. And
What was the band name?
Oh, it's it's
I
called.
don't know this.
Yeah, it was called Sweet Smoke.
That's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
not
It's
bad.
a real high school band name is how I feel about it. But yeah, it was just my friends from high school. Like, I think we could like take this conversation in so many different directions. But there was such a cool scene in Mississauga. I remember seeing Pup when I was 15 in this like small venue with like 50 people. The video's still out there on YouTube somewhere. Like, I actually think that's a moment that changed the trajectory of my life.
The video in question is the Reservoir music video where like everybody's getting stabbed and bleeding everywhere.
That's like kind of what this gig felt like. It was like before that first record even dropped. So like that is that was like one of the cooler stories I think I have to share. But yeah, so I've always been a guitar player, and like to Isaac's point, like when this configuration like came together, I think it just like I can also play drums. Like I've always had a kit, like as Isaac mentioned earlier with that electronic drum kit, but I just think for Puffin it made sense. Like I don't know, just the types of riffs that were coming out. I think it made more sense for like me to play lead on those, and like Isaac can hit those drums really fucking hard, and it just like it just made sense.
Right.
So yeah, I think it kind of naturally just came together, and it just felt right.
I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because I want to talk a little bit about what you just said, where it was like, Isaac can hit those drums really hard. Like, those riffs just work for you. Like, I listened to your EP today, and it's wonderful. Congratulations. It sounds amazing.
Thank you.
But a thought I had while listening to it is like, a lot of times when you listen to someone's first EP, right? No matter how, even if they've been a band forever, one of the things you're listening for is like, what's their sound, and like what are they trying to sound like? Does that make sense? Because I feel like the first EP is always like you're trying to go for something. Yeah. And I feel like eventually, like when that first LP drops, it's like you found that thing already. It doesn't feel like you're trying to do something. Yeah. But with your EP, like one of the things I noticed is like it just sounds like you've already figured that out. Like Puffin is a new band, which on top of that is wonderful because like not only is it your first EP, but like it's your first release, other than the singles from the EP. It sounded to me like I could hear like inspiration, like flares of inspiration, but it sounded like these guys have it figured out. You know what I mean? Like that chemistry between you as a band, like where do you think that kind of comes from?
Wow. I think it's a few things. I think like your guys' friendship like really plays into it. And I feel like so accepted within that. Like I didn't grow up, here, but like the way the guys like the way we like joke with each other and stuff, it feels like we've known each other for years and years and years. I mean, like, and I don't know, like I feel like I know some of your high school stories and stuff. So I feel like we spend a lot of time just like hanging out, like a lot of especially those like early practice days when we first met, like we would be at Prospect for like 6 hours. And like we'd spend like, I don't know, like 2 hours like shooting the shit or whatever, and then like 4 hours like playing music. So we spent a lot of time together like writing music and forming a good bond. I think another part of it, in my opinion, is also just like a good sense of like the influences and sound we were bringing. Like I mentioned Pup earlier, like heavily inspired by them with like my songwriting, and definitely Alexis on Fire as well, amongst other bands. Richard definitely is bring like Billy Talent and a lot of those like math rock kind of influences. I'm like speaking for him a little bit here.
Big Paul Troy guy.
Yeah. But I feel like the friendship and kind of forming these bonds, but also bring these influences, like it just makes sense that those would kind of like cross with each other at one point. And like now I feel like when I write songs, like I almost like pull a little bit of like Richard's influences, and perhaps Richard is pulling like some of my influences or style or whatever. And I feel like that maybe is like what is giving the sense of like a novel sound.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. Like I think it's understated how important it is in a band to be friends. Yeah. Like a lot of people, will like, don't be in a band with your friends. It's like people tend to put it like more business first. But I think like that dynamic you get when you're playing with people and you like and that are friends with you, it's you can hear it in the music. And so like, yeah, I thought you grew up here. Like I had no idea. Like, you said you were from Mississauga. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And so I guess I want to know like so you're jamming together. You're having these huge jam sessions. You guys are getting really close. What was that trigger to like book your first show?
Oh, that's funny. You want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. Then. Chanel was super horny to book our first show. I ain't gonna lie. Chanel was, and when I say horny, I mean very excited. Like it was actually really nice to see him like bubbling with excitement. I think, like Chanel said earlier, like when we'd have these really long practice sessions, we also just practiced for a long time before we ever played our first show.
That's important too.
Yeah. Like we played our first show in October of 2024, I guess. And like we had our first jam in December of 2023. So that's a solid like 10 months before that. And then when we got like Richard properly in the set and Josh properly in the set, we still probably practiced, all four of us, like for 6 months before that first show, with like intermittent vacation and just like summer happening in Nova Scotia. But yeah, I feel like when we would have these sessions, like each time we felt comfortable that we like had a song done, we'd be like, okay, now we have one song, now we have 2 songs, now we have 3 songs. And I think when we got to like 4 songs, Chanel was like, hey man, like this could be a short 20-minute set. Like we really got something here. And I was like, I feel like we need maybe a 5th song or like a cover or something before, like, let's make it a 30-minute set. And yeah, I think we were just like super excited to play it once we felt like we had enough songs, if that makes sense.
Right.
And then like, yeah, to mention Jack Murtha earlier, which cannot be understated, like Jack is like the first friend I like literally ever met, like day 1 of elementary school.
No way.
Yeah. So It's pretty cool that we're still tight, but Jack has been like very instrumental in like guiding us whenever we have questions, like Halifax scene wise, just music in general and stuff. And I remember like I was telling him like the updates as we did stuff. I'm like, yeah, like we're starting to have enough songs. I think about playing a show. And he was like, oh, well, let me reach out to CJ at Gus's. Like, I think they probably have something near the end of October. And I was like, shell shocked. I was like, I don't know if we're ready. Like, maybe. And then he got back. He's like, yep, they got something. Like, do you want it? I'm like, yep. Like, I guess so. And then just starts the fire from there. So I feel like we can definitely give a good amount of cred to Jack for like our first show existing.
Totally. And I think one of the things that like, I don't know, made it feel like we kind of had it together right at the start is the fact that we booked our first show. Like, I think it's interesting because I really want to play a show. I would have jumped on any show, I think like July of 2024. But I honestly give a lot of credit to Isaac for like patience of like getting that right first show, because I do feel like that kind of set us off on the right foot to start with.
Yeah.
Being able to book a show, and it will come up, but Isaac's like very systematic, and like we had like spreadsheets of like all the things we need to do, and I feel like we were able to like plan the show, market it really well. And I think that kind of gave the sense of like maturity, and I think it led the success of that first show that's kind of like traveled on.
It did 100%. Like I was at the first show. I want to
You actually, I was going to say, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I actually still have your poster. I should have brought it today.
Well, I'll hold that against you another time. Yeah, like I remember that show being super heavily marketed. I remember like in a good way, not in like a pushy way. And I remember like you had snippets of your songs, like Broken Wrist.
That was Chanel's idea. Yeah.
Like that was on, like I remember that from a promo video because I listened to it like over and over and over because I loved that part of that song. And then it was a packed house. Like you had tons of people there. And it was like your first show. I mean, you guys really did start off on a good foot. What was that first show like?
Oh my God. Nerves through the fucking roof. Oh my God. Yeah.
Was that your
crazy.
first time gigging drums?
Yes.
No way.
Yes. And it was nerve wracking as hell, especially because like in Gus's, well, like when we got on the stage, like Gus's is hot. And when you're nervous, it's twice as hot.
Yeah.
So that was even worse because you're just like sweating buckets and like people are taking pictures of you and you're like, ugh. But yeah, I think Chanel and Josh mainly ran the door for like a good amount of it. And then we didn't have merch at that point. So like Richard and I were just like checking in on like the sound and like making sure everybody's backline was good and stuff. And I'm pretty sure in like, oh, you should tell the story about Justin actually. Justin, the bouncer at Gus's.
Oh yes.
Murphy.
Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
Justin
This is actually really funny.
Yeah. This is a funny first show.
We had a sense that like, okay, we think like 80 people are gonna come out tonight. Like we think, and that's successful. Like we're like 80 people. What a night. Okay. So we kind of get there, and our first gig. So I totally don't blame him for this, but we're like, oh, we think there's gonna be like 80 people here. Maybe we want to move the tables. And he's like,
and we like pre-sold tickets too. Like people e-transferred us. We marked them down on like a piece of paper. We were like, we have people. We want to make sure they can get in.
Yeah, I think we had like between 30 and 40 pre-sales.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, based on that and like the messages we've gotten stuff, we think it's gonna be like 80. So and he's like, very nicely, he's like, okay, yeah, no worries. We'll move the tables like as people
when we get there. When we get to that point, we'll deal with it.
If and when we get there, we'll move the tables. And then we're sitting there and it's just people are piling in. And then he's like struggling to move these tables. And he comes up and he's like, I should have listened to you guys. But I remember.
But he was like such a great sport about it.
Yeah, he was a great sport about
and
it.
every time we see him now, like, or the first like couple times we played at Gus's after that, he was like, oh, you guys are playing. Like, I already moved the tables for you guys. Like, don't worry. I got my clicker. I'm counting. Because that was the other thing. We were like, should we be counting the people who come in for capacity or should you be? And he was like, yeah, we'll worry about hitting capacity when we hit capacity. Like, don't worry about it.
He's a huge fan of you guys. I remember that night him being like, they're so fucking good. It was like me and him and Jesse from Electric
Everything.
Spoonful and
Jesse from
everything. I was trying to
Everything.
figure out which band first. We're standing outside and like they were both like, what the fuck? That was incredible. And I was like, dude, I know. It was sick.
He told me we sounded like at the drive-in
That's
for
what
one
they were
song.
saying.
I remember that.
I was like, that is like one of the biggest compliments you can ever give me. Like, but there was a very funny moment, just like with the door thing, where like Josh is like, he's like grabbing my arm and he's shaking. He's like, dude, I think we're gonna sell it out. I think we're gonna sell it out. And I was like, no, man. And then Justin keeps coming and like looking at how many like tallies we have. He's like, what's the tally? Like, Sleeping Machines was on like just before a set, and we're like 120. I think there was like a bit of panic there. But yeah.
I think we sold out in like an hour and a half or something.
Yeah,
he said, or Josh said, or someone said it.
What a moment. Yeah. But so many nerves. Like there's one thing about like playing your first show, and there's like another thing about playing your first show to like a sold out crowd.
At Gus's too, like an iconic venue.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like I feel like
The pressure
and
is
it's a rite of passage to do your like first show at Gus's, Like our first Halifax show was Gus's. But it like, and believe it or not, the fan they used to have there still worked at that time.
Oh.
It was August and I had a fan right on my face and it was so awesome.
Damn, that'd be nice.
We played there earlier this year and I just like, I don't know, like I hadn't used the fan probably since then, but I just thought of it that time and I was like, where's that fan? And someone was like, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I was like, man,
That fan's out of commission, buddy.
yeah, I felt like an old guy being like, well, I remember when it did. But I mean, so you did your first show. You've done a lot of shows since then, and pretty big shows. Like you played the Seahorse, like pretty early on in. A lot of bands like it takes years for that to happen. And I want to know, like, when did the prospect of actually making plans to record your record start?
I can definitely say for me personally, like there was a very distinct moment where we had played Oasis in like March of 2024. That was like our fourth show, I think. Fifth show. Fourth show. Yeah. March of 2025. Sorry, yeah, 2025. Yeah, still this year. Yeah, so we played that. And that was also a sick show. That was like, we didn't realize as well that Oasis has a 250 person cap.
No way.
Yeah.
Damn.
And we played that show with Only Good Company, who are beauties. And that they were actually like kind of like hold away recording their EP. And so we didn't realize, but this was their first show in like quite a while. And they had like a ton of friends who were like, we got to see their first show back. And then we also played it with Mojo in the Middle, as referenced previously. And they always just have like a rowdy bunch of people who are like, I fucking love Mojo in the Middle.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. And so it just like was a perfect storm. And we sold out Oasis too, which was nuts. And it was like just a super successful show, like all the way around. And I remember talking to like some of my buddies afterwards who have been like going to every show, like super just loyal and stuff. And they're like, man, like, when are you going to get some music out? And I was like, soon, like big things coming, like the typical stuff. Yeah. And they're like, man, they're like, it's sick to like see you guys up there playing, but it'd be even sicker to like sing along to the lyrics. And just like that sentence, I was like, oh damn, like we do kind of got to get on that horse maybe. So I feel like that was the like distinct moment for me where I was like, maybe this is something we should do this summer.
Totally. We had Richard, we recorded some home demos with Richard's help. But I think around that time we were like, we need to get serious about getting music out. So yeah, I would agree. I feel like around that March, April time.
Yeah. And Richard is low-key like a wizard in Logic. That guy knows his way around a keyboard.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. He's got some pretty cool like Logic files or projects, I should say, like in the back burner. He has like a couple albums that he's covered front to back, all the parts, like just himself.
No way.
So he did like all of Foo Fighters' Wasting Light. He has the whole thing. And like listening to Richard play drums on Rope is crazy.
I bet. I can only imagine.
And there's a couple others, I forget, but like, yeah, he just has like a real knack for knowing Logic like inside and out. And so when we were like trying to do some demos for like, just to send them around, and like it ended up being really fruitful for applying to Music Nova Scotia grants because you like needed demos and stuff.
Right.
Richard was like the guy. Like we were like, thank Christ Richard is in the band because it's like so helpful, as you probably know. Like I feel like you're probably that guy too.
Yeah, it's I mean, I suck at mixing, but recording I'm fine.
Yeah.
But I want to know, like, when you get in there for recording, like, so you booked with where to record?
So we booked with Palmer Jamieson, the GOAT, first and foremost, the GOAT, and at his studio called Cat Island in Terrence Bay, which is very close to where me and Josh grew up, like in Prospect. Palmer had a studio that went under a couple of different names. I think he was in a couple of different spaces, but the main one was called the Golden Palm for a while. And what was he was behind Espresso 46? Is that what it was?
He was like on top of Warehouse, like where Warehouse Market is.
Oh, okay.
They had like a top floor up there. And yeah, so that's where he was based out of.
And Palmer's like such a dope guy. And I can see why like so many awesome bands has worked with him because his resume is like awesome. Like he did a lot of Botfly stuff, and he did all of Frail Hands stuff, which for the listeners at home, if you don't know Frail Hands, and I didn't know Frail Hands, they were around in the Halifax scene, but they like blew up. They got signed to a Montreal label. Like they were playing shows in New York and stuff, I'm pretty sure. Crazy sound.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy sound.
Yeah.
That was like one of the songs he sent us to be like, yeah, here's like a sample of like work that I've done. And we like 20 seconds in, we're like,
right. This is the guy.
This is the guy.
And so like you get in there on that first day, and like from what I'm gathering, you're probably pretty prepared, right? How did that feel? Like what did you get done on that first day, you know?
Yeah, the first we were really ambitious with our recording process, I would say. We booked 3 weekends like back to back to back. So we were like Saturday, Sunday times 3, we'll get everything done. Except for maybe like, I don't know, auxiliary stuff or something. But the first 2 days were supposed to be drums. So we did 5 songs and we were like, let's do the drum takes. And we're kind of used to like, especially with the demos, it was like, all right, we'll do each part. Like we'll play through the drums like twice or something. And then we'll like kind of comp it or just pick like the better one. And then when we got in with Palmer, he was like, okay, we're setting everything up like exactly how you like it. We're going to mic it. We're going to test everything. And then we're going to and then I'd run through it and he was like, all right, it was a good warm up. Like, let's do the first real take. I'm like, oh, I thought that was the first real take. Like, I'm not used to like doing 5-6 repetitions of the same sort of thing.
Right.
But like Palmer was so good for being like, it wasn't like scary or anything in any way, but he was just like, this is kind of the way that like I do things, and this is the way that like people do things in general, and it always comes out really good. And I was like, I'm down to do that for sure. But yeah, we were definitely prepared. Like we had kind of done our like own pre-production to like sit with the songs and be like, okay, do we like this like guitar tone in this part, or do we like this drum fill that I'm doing? And like the whole band is very like democratic, I would say. We have a very, very like everybody has to agree, or at least like majority has to agree on something before we do it. So yeah, that like first day in the studio, like we had everything fleshed out going in. Still nervous as hell though before like recording the parts for sure.
I think also just to add to that a little bit is that there was a lot of like honesty, I remember, in that pre-production process of just like having
your babies. Right?
Yeah, just having to be like, yeah, that's not sounding good. Or it's like, you know, this, you could try it this way to be better. It was like, I don't think there was too much like, oh, this is my part, I'm the guitar player, so I know. Kind of that earlier point, we all play a variety of instruments, so I think being able to speak the language of the other person's instrument helped a lot. So yeah, I think there was a lot that we were prepared for with the songs, but also definitely my first time in a professional studio like that. So not sure what to expect for process and such, but I feel like he walked us through it pretty well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Like I remember my first time like recording with someone else like in a space. It was only like this summer, and just being like, I'm on like my 8th take of this vocal. Like I just kind of but it's a weird thing, like, because I found like I would kind of just resign to the fact that like I'm not gonna get this, my voice just won't get this thing, so I'll just like, you know, work with, oh, it sounds natural, whatever. But then like I don't know, like it's true, like when you get pushed, like you kind of do, like your 8th take like might be the one, which is like crazy. And so I want to know too, like when you get in there, you do those drums, you finish up after those 3 weekends, like how long did it take to finish up the recordings? Did you end up having to do more after those 3 weekends?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you can speak more to that.
Yeah, so everything was just kind of like starting to spill over a little bit, and like I think it was like the end of weekend 2 and we were just starting rhythm guitars. So I think we all kind of knew that this was going to take longer than 3 weeks. I think at the end of the 3 weekends, at the end of that 3rd weekend, I think we still had like half of lead guitars to do for sure. So I think in total it took about 8 days, so like an extra 2, and
like full days, like we were like doing like at least 10-hour days, and we were all there together. That was actually the kind of cool thing about recording. Like even when it was like just drums, like I was not in the studio alone with Palmer. Like everybody pulled up. Palmer had these like super nice antique like couches and chairs and stuff, and he had everybody plugged in with like separate headphones to like listen out on different channels. And there was just like where the drums are situated, there was like a big window kind of to the far side where you couldn't see anybody on the other side. And after I'd finished the take, I'd just kind of like look up and somebody would like pop their hand out and just be like, thumbs up. Or like Palmer would look in and be like, how'd you feel about that one? And I'm like, good, I think. I can't see anybody's reaction, so like hopefully it was good.
Yeah, maybe that's like a maybe that's like a psyop of his. It's like, I think I don't want them to see what everyone else thinks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, you record the record, it gets mixed, and now in what month are we in?
November. I was gonna say December.
No, but when this is coming out, and we just recorded it when it came out.
Right.
What month are we in?
So we're in January.
Yes. Oh, Christmas was great.
Yeah.
We're not in November.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah. So like, what are the next steps? I mean, the record, you know, the EP's coming out. Like, what do you hope to do once it's out? Are you planning to tour it?
So here's the interesting thing about Puffin is that we have like interesting day careers. Isaac's a full-time accountant. Richard works as an actuary. I'm in medical.
What is that?
We need Richard to
Yeah,
explain it fully.
we need
It's like an intersection of like math and stats and insurance. I would say. Yeah, like Richard's kind of guy who decides how long you're gonna live, or predicts how long you're gonna live, I should say.
Oh, he manages risk and uncertainty.
Of course.
That's a great guy to have in a band.
Great guy. Great guy.
Sick. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's all good. I'm in medical school and Josh is in dental school. There's a running joke I have that Puffin should be like a healthcare consultancy, but we started writing post-hardcore songs instead. So we just run with it. So it makes it challenging to just kind of pick up and go on tour. That's like an absolute dream of mine. But I think
everybody's, I think.
For sure.
But a logistical
challenge. So, I think we like to study what other bands are doing, and kind of like do it in our own sense. And I feel like my next goal of something I want to do is like a 3-city East Coast rip.
Yeah.
Like Halifax, Fredericton or Moncton and Charlottetown. Yeah. So I think that could be a nice next goal. And then maybe in the summer try to make it out to Ontario or play some festivals. I think that's really the next goal in terms of like playing shows.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think it's funny, like with the careers you all have, you fit perfectly into that meme where it's like the dude with the shirt buttoned up and it's like, if the bassist looks like this, the pit, you're gonna die in the pit. That's like, but it's like for every member of the band.
Yeah.
It's so true.
It actually is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
My classmates came out to a show and they're like, oh, so you like do this like outside of this, and like people are like falling over each other in the pit and stuff, and I'm like, it's
sick.
It's sick. Exactly. I feel like I need it in order to like go to school. Like,
yeah. I mean, like, you need that. So I heard an interesting theory. I took sociology when I was in Antigonish.
Cool.
When I was just in town, when I was at St. FX, I took sociology. And one of my professors just kind of said this thing one day. We were talking about something about drinking culture, and someone mentioned, like, do you think St. FX, like, wants to put in, or why doesn't the university put in more measures to get people, like, because there's a lot of, like, irresponsible drinking around town. Mm-hmm. And his answer was so great. With the pub closed right now, I feel like town is... There's a fire in the kitchen, so it's closed. I feel like town is like the students are about to explode.
The bar hall just went down from like 3 to 2, or 2 to 1 maybe at this point.
Yeah, there's 2 breweries, and there's Dooley's, and there's the Inn, and that's it, I think. Yeah. But like, he's like, they don't want that. They don't want students, like... They want students to blow off steam on the weekends. They want students to work really hard all week and then go absolutely nuts on the weekend. And then they get it all out of their system and they're back ready to go Monday. And it's like, I never thought of it that way, but I feel like in intense careers, like all of you have, like, you guys do important jobs, like, and you do hard jobs and like jobs that require a lot of education. I feel like that's such a necessary thing. Does it feel that way?
For you, I feel like it feels that way.
Yeah. For me, absolutely. Music's always been a really important outlet, like all through school. Like, even though I wasn't playing in bands, like I would, I studied at the University of Guelph for my undergrad master's, and like I would come back from school and just like play drums for an hour before I could like crack a textbook open or whatever. So absolutely. And I feel like with med school, it's like been compounded, like the amount of stuff I have to learn. So having this outlet has been amazing. I also feel like it's something that genuinely like connects me to like the community and people around here, and as like, someone who will be like taking care of the community in a sense. Like, I think it's nice to like get to know the people that you'll be serving in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like it's interesting too, because like I feel like as things have progressed in med school, and as like it's gotten more time consuming or whatever, it only makes sense that you play the most like energetic and like pure like intense music. You know what I mean? All the indie rock bands, they're all like working really smooth jobs or not working jobs at all. But I feel like the indie rockers and the jangle poppers and all the singer songwriters, like, you know, they don't work those super intense jobs. That's a gross overgeneralization. But I don't know, do you feel like there's a connection between that, like the love of that like really intense music with like really intense careers? Do you think it helps to blow off some of that steam, Isaac?
Yeah, I feel like in the same way that you're connecting it to Saint Effects, like it's kind of like work hard, play hard, I guess is sort of the mentality.
I could have just said that.
Yeah.
I told like a 3-minute story. I could have just said work hard, play hard.
No, I definitely think you're right. I definitely, I think when I sit down behind the drum kit, I'm like, okay, like I'm about to play drums. And then I'm like a song or two in and I'm like, I'm sweating more than when I play basketball right now. This is uncomfortable. And then third song, I'm like, yeah, this is like, I'm in this. I don't care how much I sweat. Like it's ready to just get all the energy out possible, like you said. And then it's like, okay, you can level set afterwards.
Yeah.
So I feel like it is a really good release, like Chanel said. And God forbid there's worse releases out there in the world for Top Jobs. So
like being in an indie rock band.
Yeah, seriously.
So I want to ask too, I mean, with the EP coming out, like what, I'll ask you individually, and I'll start with you, Chanel. What song are you most excited for people to hear?
Ooh.
Damn, what a good question.
Yeah.
If I were you, the answer would be Broken Wrist, because I love that song so much.
You recorded that one
I did
for the Mixed Rhythm
Seahorse.
YouTube.
You can watch that at
video.
youtube.com/fuck.
Mixed Rhythm.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. I play that one all the time. That's interesting. I think for me, it's Barn Burner. It's a that's a very personal song to me. So I'm revealing a bit about myself here, but I wrote that song the first time I did not get into medical school. And so it's, you know, as you can imagine, I was in a bit of a frustrated mood, and that riff just came out really naturally, and I think the whole song is kind of like a celebration of failure, but also it's kind of me making fun of myself a little bit, like in the lyrics, like it's being really self-deprecating, and I'm like, wow, am I just like ripping off the like bands that I'm a fan of who are like very self-deprecating in their lyrics? And so then I like wrote that into the song a little bit, like,
Yeah, hell yeah.
yeah, like I wrote in something about like sifting through my derivative thoughts, which I thought was kind of a funny line. But then also I'm like, this song is hard as hell, and people always mosh to it. It is like the song where Richard's like, open up the pit, and yeah, it just gets the pit going. So I also wrote a line in the song where it's like, I'm paraphrasing it, but it's like, you don't care about the lyrics of what this song has to say. You just need a reason to mosh.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's like funny. I think it's funny if people have been to like Puffin shows, like, I should go listen to this EP. And it's like, oh wait, he was making fun of me. So
it's also impressive that you like wrote it intending for it to be a mosh song, and then it actually is.
Yeah.
Without like forcing it to be or whatever. Like I feel like that's not always the case. Like you don't always write it to be something and then it is what you want it to be.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because I feel like there's other songs where like I think I've tried that and it maybe hasn't worked out, but that one I was like, oh no, I know this one's gonna work for sure.
And it's short too, right?
Yeah.
Ripper.
I just had to check to make sure, because I was like that song's only 2 minutes, but then the more you're talking about it, I'm like, did my like player just crap out? But no, it is. It's under 2 minutes.
It's under 2 minutes.
And like 45 seconds of feedback.
45 seconds of feedback.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I've always loved those Ripper songs.
Yeah.
On like
Barn Burners.
Barn Burners. There you go. On like some of my favorite records. So like it just made sense that would be like the song that I'd want. So I'd say I'm most excited about that one.
Yeah. Also, cool, fun story about Barn Burner is like as a tidbit. I remember when we played our first show, that was like one we were gonna close with, and like obviously everybody was moshing and stuff. Richard, to my knowledge, didn't plan this whatsoever. But like in the latter half of the song, like it's really fast paced, really intense, and then it kind of gets this like slowed down part for you to catch your breath, and it goes right back into it. When that second part comes through and you go right back into it, in our first show, Richard actually jumped into the pit and started like singing the lyrics, like moshing around with everybody. And I remember looking up being like, what just happened? Like, did Richard trip? Is he gonna get squashed in the pit while he's singing the song? Like, this is insane. And shout out Megan Curry. I think Megan Curry was one of the photographers at our first show. She got like the hardest pick ever of just like, she like stood on the actual stages of Gus's for a second, turned it, and it's just Richard like kind of like cradling the mic like a baby, like it's like something he can't let get like destroyed, and it's just this huge mosh pit around him, like everybody's just flailing bodies. And we're like, I think we talked afterwards how cool that was, and he's done it every time like without fail since. Without fail. Yeah.
That's kind of like the signature part of the song. It's really cool.
Yeah.
What song are you most excited for people to hear?
So the people in Puffin know I'm a huge GSL fan. That is like, I didn't write that song or anything. That was more of like a collaborative song, but Chanel like had the original idea. We also like, before we had names for all the songs, we just had to like annotate them. So that was like Chanel song 1, that was like SS1, and then like one of Richard's song was like Richard song 1, and like that sort of thing. So I was really happy that GSL was the first single, because also like we've gotten a lot of good feedback on it, and people seem
Gas
to really like that
Station
one.
Lemonade is what it stands for the people.
Sorry, I'm putting too many abbreviations out here.
That's all
A
right.
little bit of
We've- in
inside
interview-
baseball.
In interviews, we've multiple times have called a song a name that it's not called anymore.
Okay.
Like this song "Spinning Out" came out like
Yeah.
on our EP, and on this set list right here, it's under its old name. It's under an abbreviation for the old name of the song, and we've done that a million times. So like, you're good.
Okay. So yeah, I'm pumped that song came out, but for the song that is like not a single that's gonna come out, I'm really pumped for people to hear Fences.
Oh, okay.
I think Fences is a sweet song, because this was actually the first like D'Souza Sinal collaboration song. The beginning of the Lennon-McCartney songwriting duo that is in Puffin, which is cool, because I think a lot of Puffin songs, interestingly, are like Chanel comes through with like an entire song on guitar, and then we kind of fit in the pieces, or Richard comes through with the entire song. Like Richard like wrote the entire song at some point in the past on like Logic and has like all the program parts, or he like recorded stuff DI. But this was the first song where like Chanel had a part, and then showed it to Richard, and then they like workshopped it together, and then when they brought it to the band, we all kind of like filled in, and then it was still pretty collaborative with like the weird like stops and starts that we have in like the chorus and stuff. So I'm excited for people to hear that one. Also, it has 3 different BPMs, which was crazy to try and record.
Oh hell yeah!
Especially as a drummer. That's always fun. But yeah, I think it's just a sweet song, and it does a good job of showing like all the influences, I think, between like you and Richard. Collaborative song, 3 BPMs. Can I say any more?
Sick.
Yeah.
I feel like that was one of those examples, kind of like speaking like the friendship and longevity of the band and all that. Like, I feel like I used tunings and chords that like Richard would normally bring to the table, but like use them in like my style, and so it really does feel like, yeah, a very collaborative song. Also, my favorite Isaac drum performance. That shit is crazy. That's really cool.
Get it. Yeah, well, I loved the EP, and I want to say congratulations, and I'm excited for everyone else to hear it. And if you're listening right now, that's such a stupid thing people say. If you're listening, if you're not going to hear it.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this while eating dinner right now, put down the fork and go check it out. It's either out or it's going to be out tomorrow. I don't know.
I feel
thank you
bad.
guys.
I feel bad that I didn't say Broken Wrist though. I feel like
No, I'll tell you, that's my personal favorite. And right now we're at like 3 of 5 songs. So like,
yeah, true.
I mean,
True.
I just listen to the whole EP. It's a great use of your time. And thank you guys both for coming in. This was wonderful.
Thank you for having us, man. This was I've been a big fan of Mixed Rhythm, listening back to like Post Fun and Shaolin, some of those interviews,
Yeah,
and the recent like Book Buddies one, Green Eyes, like they're all really well done, man. So it's
Peddlers of Ham. That
yeah,
was Shaolin's band name.
that was their OG name, right?
Something in the Peddlers of Ham. Yeah.
Shaolin was one of the few bands I actually saw in Antigonish, to go way back to that question.
I was at that show.
Oh,
at the
were you?
Inn.
Yeah, at the end, yeah.
I went.
That was like right before COVID happened, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I went because I was like, this will be cool. A show in Antigonish, like from bands from Halifax. This never happens.
Yeah.
And I remember like it was the first time I'd gone to like not a concert, but a show. And so it said like the show was at like 9 or something. And it was like 9:30. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was already drunk. So I left. I went to McDonald's.
Clean move.
And so I didn't see the show, but I was there.
I was at the show, but I didn't see the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was there. I was there before the show started.
Yeah.
Sick. That's a good place to cut it, I think.
Yeah.
So-
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for listening to this week's show. If you want to find Mixed Rhythm on Instagram, you can at Mixed Rhythm. If you want to send us an email, it's miskrhythm, miscrhythm@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/themixedrhythm, and on Facebook, facebook.com/themixedrhythm. You can also check out our website, mixedrhythm.wordpress.com. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you again next time.